Coming to you from inside the suites at Globe Life Field, two Rangers broadcasters who come on your TVs every day of the season to talk about the Rangers.
If people don't understand the name of it, the other day it was 3 a.m. on a bus and you guys were still talking Rangers.
Now they're putting down their broadcast mics to pick up the podcast ones because they are still talking Rangers.
Hey everyone, welcome into episode whatever of Still Talking Rangers alongside Dave Raymond. I'm Jared Sandler, and we have got a very special guest. We talk about multi-sport athletes. This guy not only played baseball, but he was a two-time All-State basketball player at Duncanville here in our great state of Texas, Mike Bacsik.
Thanks. My heart's beating out of my chest right now. So nervous talking to you two guys.
Still talking.
Still talking. It's all you guys do. Like, can we talk about something else? It's always about the Rangers.
We brought you in for episode 11.
Okay.
Because 11 is a magical number. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Very magical. You think about the Colonel, 11 secret herbs and spices. There's something about 11. 10s, people just, that's like, doesn't get their imagination. 11, people stop. 7 what? 11. People stop for 11. They're stopping for Mike Bacsik.
Well, I think you know my birthday.
11/11.
11/11. 77.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we found his
for
birthday.
episode 11, my birthday, November 11th.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to clear it up, not two-time All-State basketball player.
Three-time, that's right.
No.
I'm sorry, three-time All-State
No,
Duncanville Hall of Famer.
I am in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
But
Mr. Hall of Famer.
I don't need my teammates at Duncanville once again going, what are you feeding these guys about your basketball career at Duncanville?
All right, so McDonald's All-American, but also
For eating McDonald's in high school, yes.
guests don't normally come on here and fact check the program, all right?
That's what I do.
Okay, all right. Well, can we talk about your basketball career?
Can we just kick him out now? I mean, what's going on here?
No, we're not kicking him out.
It's like in the movie Little Big League. Do you remember Little Big League?
Pitcher's got a big butt.
That was Rookie of the Year. You remember Little Big League?
Never
Billy
saw it.
Haywood?
But anyway, tell us
Wait,
your story.
Little Big
Cool
League, is
story,
that the
bro.
Chicago Cubs?
No, that's the Minnesota. That's Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Little Big League is the Minnesota Twins.
All right, he's the manager.
Okay, and he's got his friends, and they got their friend Lowell, and Lowell replaces Billy Haywood because Billy Haywood's now managing the Minnesota Twins, and then they all come together, and Lowell doesn't say anything, and then finally after this long period of time, Lowell speaks, and they make the determination they prefer Lowell when he didn't speak. Well, we already did one episode with you, and you didn't speak, and I'm kind of thinking that you're like Lowell, and I prefer when you didn't speak.
I thought Gary Coleman managed the Padres in the movies. Oh, Gary Coleman. What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
Yeah. He managed the Padres.
Yeah.
It was another bad movie.
Are you making this up? I've never.
No, that's
what
old
are you
school.
talking
That's back in
Old
the 70s
school?
and 80s.
With Will Ferrell?
Yeah. No, this is like a whatever, 35, 40-year-old, maybe longer than that, right? 50-year-old movie? I don't know.
I need to watch this.
What's it
Yeah.
called?
Different Strokes.
Different stroke.
What's the guy's name? The white guy, the dad?
Mr. Drummond?
Mr. Drummond.
Yeah.
All right, we have Mike here. I want to
talk
talk
about Mike.
some ball. We learned yesterday, today is Wednesday, my watch says, that Major League Baseball is going to, not a surprise, they're going to implement a challenge system for calling ball strikes using the ABS technology next year. Experimented in spring training. Each team gets 2 challenges. You only lose a challenge when you're incorrect. They've been experimenting with this since 2022 in AAA, and it seemed like, I guess status quo was an option, right? And just total human element. Mm-hmm. The other end of the spectrum was everything would be called, with technology. I think there was probably a point a few years ago where at least I thought that's where it was headed. Mm-hmm. And then the in-between is this challenge system. I love this. I was curious in spring training how I would feel about it. I loved it. I loved the way it was executed. What are your thoughts about this, fellas?
I like it. And I also like that you have 2 challenges. You get to keep challenging as long as you get it right. I thought it was quick in spring training. It's interesting on the video board as everybody looks at it like you're watching the U.S. Open or Wimbledon. So yeah, I like it. I'm glad we aren't going to 100% or close to 100% of pretty much no umpire. He would just be back there and wait for it to buzz in his ear and say it. So I'm for this. It'll be interesting to see the strategy on how teams use it and how many times possibly managers get mad at guys that emotionally challenge things in the game.
And that's the thing. So the only people who can challenge pitcher, catcher, hitter, and it's got to be instantly. So like that emotional, you do this, I don't think they're takebacks, right? You can't be like,
I don't think there are any takebacks.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Now, I'm going to throw this out there to Dave. Next year on RSN, there's a good chance we don't have the white box anymore. I remember the kind of get all the announcers together, and they were talking about this last year in spring training. That
it's a meeting. I think that's when you get people together, and it's called a meeting.
Yeah, they Zoomed. Thanks for making me look bad again. But we might not have that box to look at and go, oh, it was just below the box, because they don't want any way possible for a hitter to peek real quick for that 1 second into the dugout, and somehow, some way, there's technology in that dugout that they could touch their head real quick and signal, hey, we saw it on RSN, if getting a live feed. So we might not have that white box anymore.
It's interesting. I could see that. I could also see them preventing any technology like that really being an issue, right? Because it's pretty hard. I mean, think if you were watching the game on TV in the ballpark, right? And the suites have the games on television sets here in the park. I trust that those are at minimum a couple seconds behind, right? Because most of these things get transmitted through a number of processes, in little electrical packets and all that nonsense. So,
and they have to be, right? Like they can't have a live.
And they can't. Well, obviously, it would be against the rules. The question would be like, could you circumvent that somehow?
Yeah.
Could you have somebody in a different location who would indicate to you guys? But I don't know. That'll be interesting. I don't really care. I would tell you, like, it's good of the various things that they've added in terms of like replay and that sort of technology. This one's executed well. The complaint that I generally have about replay still resonates with this, right? So, and the example I often give about replay is like a big double play and a consequential moment toward the end of a game. Well, imagine 9th inning, 8th inning, huge situation, and we build up to that moment, and the guy, bam, got him looking, game over, whatever. Here they go, bottom of the 9th. It's like, oh, hold on a second. Tap, tap, tap. We're going to look at it real quick. Oh, got it. Yeah, it was a strike. Got him again. Really cool moment, just briefly interrupted, but now back. And as much as there's any swell of emotion in a building that can be kind of tripped up that way, I just don't like that. I just don't like the continued interference of technology in this game that is an emotional game. And I look at it like this, like baseball, we spend all these months building up to these pennant races, right, which are fantastic. And we've got such a mess going on right now. It's really cool. Well, none of that has the same feel if you didn't have everything invested to get here. And then in a game, you invest over the course of the game to get to those consequential moments at the end. They're only huge and interesting and emotional because we've built to that. Same with the World Series, et cetera, right? Everything's about building to the moment. So much of our game sounds like this, like a podcast, right? We're watching a game, talking about what we see, and then the moments get us to a place of theater and drama and everything else. And it's in those moments that replay or challenge interrupt. So interrupt when we're just shooting the breeze. Don't interrupt in that moment, but that's not how it works. So for me, it's the overall aesthetic of the game, the pageantry of this event that you've come to see. Imagine if you go to Romeo and Juliet and it's quiet and you're getting to the climactic moment. and somebody misdelivers a line, like, cut, hang on, hold on. Right? You've had people in a theater for an hour and a half just on the edge of their seats getting to this climactic moment. And like, no, do over. Let's just redo this one real quick. Right? That would stink. It would ruin it. And I think that's what we do with this stuff. And baseball's not alone, right? They do it in football and every other sport. But it's like, why are we interrupting this thing that is completely organic every night, right? And just takes its own little shape and its own direction and evolves in unpredictable ways because it is so human and so organic. And that's why we're drawn to it. If it was a game of Stratomatic, people wouldn't tune in every night the way they do. But it isn't. It's human error in nature and all this stuff that happens, and that's why we tune in, for that theater. And so I just don't like interrupting that theater. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm thinking of it as well, like, you know, a pitch goes, strike three, you know, such and such, DeGrom strike. Whoa, it's a challenge. And like, yeah, I guess it kills that highlight. I guess for me, though, I still, you know, whether it's a 1-1 count or a full count or whatever, I'm glad that it's not every pitch. And I'll get into why I'm okay with some, not all, in a second. But I just think that these big moments, I hate it for these guys when, you know, it's a great at bat and then they earn a walk, but then it's called a strike on a bogus call. That to me in my head, like that makes up for some of the moments that might be ruined from like a highlight standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not talking about from a highlight standpoint.
Well,
I'm talking about it from, again, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm replay now. So deal with me. But
you only get 2 of these, though.
That's fine.
Unless you're right.
That's fine, because this isn't about a highlight. This is about that moment where people have been waiting, and now suddenly you've thrust 40,000 people into euphoria. We just got out of this jam. We got the heart of the order coming up in a 1-run game. We were chipping away last inning. Their guy's flagging a little bit. This is it. Now we put the pedal down. This big comeback's gonna happen. And it's just this wave in a building. You felt it. Everybody's been there before when that's happened, right? And the fans get into it, and the PA takes it, boom, boom, boom. Everything's going crazy. It's awesome. But if you interrupt that for 30 seconds, now it's not going to happen with the tapping of the hat. That's not going to interrupt for 30 seconds. But some of these replays have just been ridiculous. You interrupt it for long enough, and then they come out and we explain it. Hey, we actually had it right. This was pretty amazing. That wasn't out. That was a great double play. And now they come up. But the fans have lost interest at this point. They are up and they're getting the concessions. They're not going to get back up in that same way. So to me, again, it's just, and that's part of the event. The fans play a role. The atmosphere, the energy in a building plays a role in the event.
So I get that. 13 seconds was the average in spring training. Now, whether it's 13 seconds, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, that pause in knowing whether I'm cheering or upset or whatever, yeah, that I'm not debating that organic initial moment is the best version of that. I think, I don't know how many challenges we'll have on average a game. I'm curious. It obviously depends on how successful these guys are and deploying their challenges. One thing I hate about the replay thing is with not ball strikes, but just calls, they'll show the replay on the video board, and we're saying, is he safe? Is he out? Whatever. Maybe they can't do this. I think it would be cool if you actually got a live look into the replay operations center. You could hear them discussing, well, Dave, I'm seeing it from this angle, whatever. That's not going to help the moment, but I think it otherwise you're just standing around, right? And you just wait, you like staring at the umpires, waiting for the guy to reach for his belt pack and then say something. This is going to be quick. And it's, like you mentioned, tennis, you're going to see the trail of the ball approach the plate and then the dot relative to the strike zone. I don't think it's going to create a moment that equals that initial moment, but I think it's better than standing around and watching umpires just wait for someone in, the Northeast to tell them ball or strike or safe or out or, whatever.
No, I think it's elegant. I think it's a good setup. This ABS, that's as good a setup as you can get for something like that.
The other thing I'll say, two quick things. One, I think it will lead to a greater appreciation for the umps, because what we saw in spring training, these guys get it right, more than maybe we think. I think the overall success rate of challenges was 52%, but they're being very specific in the calls they're challenging, and not a surprise, pitchers were the worst, hitters were the second best, and catchers were the best. I mean, that would make sense. But I think umps don't want to be embarrassed, right? They don't want to have their call overturned, just like they don't now. But I think if it maybe increases their level of focus, and I'm not saying they slack off because they get graded, but I think it helps. The other thing is, the thing I feared about the every call being made, because one of the things I would say to you is I just want it right, but then the counter would be, well, if you want it right, then why not every call? If every call would be adjudicated by technology, I'm going to go to something you said about the Marlins not having their catchers call pitches. Why do we care about a catcher who can think? We just stick anyone back there. Well, if it doesn't matter how the catcher performs in that role of receiving a pitch and maybe framing a pitch and whatever, you can just have a catcher, especially with nobody on base. He can kick his feet up and lay down and maybe just even be on two knees. I think it takes away the physical demand of catching to some degree. If it doesn't matter how I receive the pitch, well, I'm just going to stand up and let the pitcher throw it into a net. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? So I like that you don't take away the role of the catcher by only having a limited amount of calls be eligible for review, if that makes sense.
Whataburger's Pico de Gallo burger is back, and it's bringing a fiesta of fresh flavors. 2 all-beef patties, crisp Pico de Gallo, melty pepper jack, and creamy cilantro lime sauce. Limited time only, so grab it before it's gone.
We've talked about the replay thing all year, right? And so
I'm always amused by the argument that I just want them right. What percentage, how often do you find yourself saying, did they really get that right on review?
But you would agree that more calls, whether it's 100% or 90 or 80 or 70, more calls are correct because of replay than would be if not for replay. I'm not saying that after every replay we are 100% sure that they still got it right, because sometimes it's call stands, which means they don't have the evidence to overturn.
More times than not, it's call stands.
Right, but I think a lot of times...
Which means this didn't help us. That's exactly what it means. We could tell nothing with replay.
Don't you think, though, there's some call stands where it's hey, we're confident he's safe. We don't have that one angle to say call confirmed, but he's safe, stands, and we're satisfied with the...
I think it's exactly what it is. Stands. We can't tell. We can't definitively say one way or the other, which I think is like an indictment of the actual exercise that we're going through. Call stands, which is to say, we don't know any more than he knew in the moment.
The one thing we all agree on is that if we're going to have replay, the call on the field should have no bearing. And that's another thing I like about this. This does not, the umpire can call strike. It's not like the pitch has to be irrefutable. It's just the technology is going to tell you. I think, and I could be wrong, I think you would maybe slightly like the other version of replay more if the call in the field, there was no stands confirmed. It's safe or out, right? Then you don't have to worry about we just wasted 3 minutes for nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's saying he doesn't want to waste a second.
Yeah.
It's not even the time.
The moment is the moment.
It's the interruption.
Yeah. And that's where
intrusion.
We were just playing the Mets, so I went to the replay center, and they actually would like for teams to go to commercial break when a team challenges. They actually, what you're talking about going into New York and maybe hearing things, they feel like in football,
they're pressured to...
in football, they go to commercial break. So they might have the answer in an NFL football game within 20 seconds. But because they're not pressured so much to have a quicker game, because they're only playing 17 per team, they're like, all right, we have the answer, but we'll bring it back in 2.5 minutes after we play all these commercials. We just don't know, are they going to have it in 30 seconds because it was an easy review, or is it going to take 3 minutes? Because this is a very tough one and we're looking at so many angles and we're not seeing anything definitive, but maybe if we watch it again, we can. They're like, well, maybe if teams would go to commercial break. The issue with that would be is you'd have to have a set. The umpire cannot say anything for 2 minutes, even if they have it within 30 seconds.
Or whatever the break is.
Yeah, the break has to be the break. And so they didn't talk all about that, but when they said they'd want teams to go to commercial break so we're not just sitting and waiting for such a long time.
I'd be curious how you guys feel about that, but like I do think there is some interest, whether you like the replay or not, in breaking it down.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd be much more interested to hear what they're saying.
Yeah, like if I'm watching the game, I want to, like, because you're right. Sometimes they go to break in football. Sometimes though they'll keep it there, right? And like if it's a big call, I want to hear, and then they bring in Joe referee to give his thoughts, which sometimes are right and sometimes aren't. But like,
it is though amazing with how many cameras we have, how the technology of cameras can just pixelate everything almost so perfectly, and yet we do argue while we're watching the game. I'm like, are you sure that the tag stayed on right there and his hand didn't come? Did his hand stay on the whole time? Or in football, are you sure that toe, is that on a white blade of grass or did it all stay on the green blades of grass? It's amazing that we have all this technology, but still it's very tough to always feel confident in what you just saw on 16 different replays on what the true result should be.
No, that's true.
Not to mention, like, are you in love with a replay where, you know, a guy has clearly stolen a base, but
because I know what you're going to get at.
one infinitesimal moment,
but the whole point is to be on the bag. Like that's not.
I know.
But like the problem there is, where do you draw the line? You opened up that, and I know that's what you're getting at. You opened it up because of replay, but like, I guess, and I think I know your answer to this, but were you okay with acting like the dramatics of the way a player applied the tag and then, he's out, I got him, influencing the umpire's call versus what actually was the case? Because there were times pre-replay where, and we've heard, and we ran a piece on RSN where Corey Ragsdale even talked about, it used to be it didn't matter if the tag beat the runner. You had to give off the appearance that the tag beat the runner. So when the ball beat, like that play yesterday where Fitzgerald acrobatically avoided Ezekiel Duran's tag, maybe an umpire's trying to be a hero pre-replay and get that call right, but like 19 times out of 20, I'll say the guy's out because the ball beat him clearly, right? So
right, and if you make the call safe, you have to be really confident that he really was safe there, and you could be be in that case confident in that, and then people are going to replay it and cry about it or whatever. But we've been doing that for years. It's okay. It's okay to be a little ruffled over things that happen, and to be, for things not to be perfect. I mean, it's just an impossible standard for umpires.
But wouldn't you rather be ruffled over? So I just have this philosophy. I don't know. I don't care so much about the umpires when I'm broadcasting. Like, I'll mention their names, and I do like to be able to say, it's, Alan Porter, said no swing or whatever. But like, I don't need to give you their biographies because we're not here for them, right? We're here for the players. And maybe if there's an interesting story with an umpire, then like it's worth telling. But at the end of the day, like, we're here for the players. And we do get frustrated watching games, right? Like, if a call doesn't go your way or a play doesn't go your way, I find it way less irritable when I'm getting upset or I'm getting excited over the athletes being athletes versus like, I can't believe that call didn't go my way or that call, whatever, right? Like, so I get that the frustration's a part of it. I don't like getting frustrated over the officials. I want to get frustrated over the athletes and their ability to perform at the highest level in that moment, right? As opposed to, man, we would have won if it wasn't for that bogus call, right? Like, I hate that. That bothers me. I don't like that part of it.
Well, I'm going to just play another side. You challenge in the third inning, and man, it was close, and we're not sure, but we're going to keep it. But in the sixth inning, there's a huge play where a guy gets thrown out at home, and they're like, can't challenge it. We only allow you to have so many challenges, and it affects the outcome of the game.
Sure. Well, there whether you have challenges or not. I mean, same example, because you only have a certain amount of challenges, there are plays where they don't challenge it. They have the challenge, but they don't want to use it, and it could impact. And there are times when strategically a team might not challenge when they feel good about it, but they're not 100% sure, but there's 2 outs, nobody on in the first inning, right? But who knows? Maybe they strike up a 5-run rally. I guess
it just begs the question, do we want to get it right or not?
I want to get it right, but I do think there's a balance.
Just twice.
No, but I do think there's a balance, right? To your point, this game would suck if every 5 minutes we were challenging a call. I mean, I love basketball. But I don't know anyone who loves how the final 2 minutes of a game can take 30 minutes because every boundary call is challenged. That sucks, right? That really, you must hate that, right?
I do.
I remember we were at dinner in spring training, Stanford was playing, and your son, Donnie, was calling the game.
Yeah.
And I remember we were going to time up our dinner. I forget who they were playing, but we were going to time up our dinner afterwards so you could listen to the whole game. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking, and it was all right, 3 minutes left, so we probably, whatever. 40 minutes later, 30 minutes, the game was still going on. Yeah. I don't think...
It's a lovely dinner.
To your point, I don't think that our game deals with that to that extent.
I agree.
Right?
Definitely doesn't.
But the other thing I'd say that I like about the ball strike stuff, I like that it's in the hands of the players, and I like that we can assign a value to that. I love that we're going to have conversations. Pick a player. I mean, I don't know, Alejandro Osuna, right? You have 2 challenges. Do you want Corey Seager using it to turn a 2-2 count into a 3-1 count? Or do you want Alejandro Osuna using it, right? And who ends up being the best at this? Right?
I like this at bat because Seager's already seen 4 pitches.
Who's the best at challenging? Which catcher's better? Are certain, we each manage 3 different teams. You might say, hey, we're not challenging until the 6th inning earliest. You might say, hey, if you're not hitting, with runners on or in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots, you're not challenging. I might say, hey guys, no rules. Do whatever you want. Right? I think teams are going to have interesting approaches to this. I think there is a strategic element that I think could be fun to discuss. I do like that part of it. We don't have that in that we're not, to your point about 3rd inning, 6th inning, we don't spend a lot of time are they holding it back for this? Are they not going to? Yeah. Because of the way the dynamic's different. So I like that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. There's stuff
He's
about
very,
it.
very unmoved.
So the ABS system's in for next year.
Yeah, ABS is in.
Yeah.
ABS is in. I'm not stopping anything. I can't do it.
Are you cool with 2 challenges? Do you like that number?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, look, if you're gonna intrude on the game, go ahead, intrude. Do it a couple of times. You talk about letting the athletes. Let's see the athletes. Let's do it. How about enough coaches calling pitches from the sideline? Enough coaches positioning guys in absurd spots because we know the spray charts are exactly what they are. Enough interruptions with technology and stuff. Jesus, gods, let the guys just play the game. Let's see who's smart. Let's see who's athletic. Let's see who's intuitive. That to me is the art of the game. This is a battle. We watch a battle every night of great athletes, but really, we're watching front offices flex their muscles. We're seeing this is a challenge every day in calculus or astronomy or whatever the hell it is that they use. And again, I appreciate it's interesting that they can do it as well as they do. And I do find the science of it interesting, but it's too intrusive for me. It's just too intrusive. So it's the Dodgers, and I walked into the cubicle farm of analysts one day because it was the old clubhouse at Dodger Stadium. And I'd been many, many years since I'd been there. I went down to the clubhouse, opened the door. There's no clubhouse. It's this enormous room filled with cubicles, and this guy prairie dogs up out of there. He's like, can I help you? I was like, I was just looking for the clubhouse. Nope, it's down the hall this way. Oh, okay. What's going on? And I went outside and said, analytics or something on the door. They got 20, 30 guys in a room. They're doing Lord knows what. Good for them. They're very smart. You know, you can move guys around, be very smart. You can call your pitches from the bench, be very smart. And that's what it comes down to. Who's going to come up with the next trick? Who's going to come up with the next angle, whether it's pitch design or pitch usage, openers, all this stuff that we've seen come, go, some of it sticks. But, like, what happened to giving Mike the ball and telling him to pitch and working with your catcher to figure out the situation and being an athlete and combating that athlete and not knowing what his spray chart is? You have an idea that a guy pulls a ball or whatever else. But, I mean, don't you find it sometimes amazing when guys are positioned in places you're like, why was he playing 3 feet off the line, 295 feet down the line? How did he know that ball was coming right to him?
Okay, devil's
Cool.
advocate.
It's cool, but it's not athletic.
Devil's advocate, though.
Go
We all
ahead.
love football.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between that and coaches? So we talked about this with the Marlins thing. High-level coaches calling plays, which they do, but more specific to like the granular element you're talking about, they spend all week watching film and telling guys, hey, when they do this, they're likely to do that. So you need to look for that, and you maybe need to be positioned here. We see this guy go in motion, so now we need to be ready to reposition. Is it because, like, in football does exactly what you're saying you don't like about baseball?
Yeah, it's a very different game, but
Sure, but it's been going on longer. So, like, the football we knew from, I mean, at least for me, when I first started watching football, the coaches called plays, they game planned. There's a huge coach influence, right? So, like, I don't like that the Marlins, like, I don't love that they're taking pitch calling away from the catchers, but I'll just be honest, I don't like it. But I have thought about, well, what's the difference between that and offensive coordinators or a head coach calling plays in football? And, like, I can't figure out how to reconcile that. I don't, like, the Marlins thing makes me feel a certain way that football doesn't, because the quarterback should be equipped to call plays, right? Like, that we entrust the quarterback to be really smart. And some quarterbacks I know do their own thing and maybe are more influential than others. But, like, I don't know.
I don't see them as being all that similar, and I can't articulate why, but maybe it's because I just feel like there are a lot more variables in every play in football, but I don't know. I haven't really thought that one through, but I don't really care because they can do whatever they want. I grew up loving baseball for what baseball is, and I still love it. I still think it's great. I'm not, I think it could be better. I think there are ways just to make it more interesting. And to me, it would be maybe rolling some of that stuff back.
When you pitched, how much influence, like in between innings, how often were you talking to a coach who was reminding you of this or reminding you of that, or did coaches totally stay away from you at that point?
No, it mattered where you were in the game and the rhythm that you had going. So if you're good rhythm, let's just say the first 2 innings, you face 7 batters, one guy got a bleeder, a single in between short and third, and you've dominated that team, you've thrown 25 pitches in 2 innings, he might just leave you alone, especially because you're just dominating. But if, let's just say I've gone out there, I've thrown 2 innings, I've faced 9 hitters, let's say I haven't given up a run, but you can tell I'm struggling a little bit to finish off hitters, to maybe make them look uncomfortable. You're almost always talking to your catcher in between innings, whether it's for 30 seconds or 3 minutes. Also matters if he's coming up to hit in that inning. You're having small discussions on just, hey, how's this feeling? Or, hey, remember, there used to be this game plan. Hey, we want to attack inside. They don't think you throw inside. We want to attack inside the first time through. We're going to confuse them. And then the second time through, now we're going to start two-seaming and changing the ball up. So by the time they're like looking at their guys going, what kind of scouting report did you give me? I thought he was two-seamer and change-up away, and he's throwing cutters in on my hands and then sometimes throwing a four-seamer off the plate or a two-seamer that's kind of running back to the inside corner. And then the next time through, I changed some sequences up, and they're like, crap, now he's throwing what the coach told us he was going to throw to start the game. So there would be stuff like that where you'd hold stuff back or really play the game of, I know what my scouting report is, and maybe I'm going to pitch to my scouting report. But every once in a while, I don't that first time through just to mess with them. Or I throw the scouting report the first time through, but I didn't throw but 3 curveballs in my first 40 pitches. And that is a pitch for me that I like throwing, but I'm not throwing it. Now I go the 4th inning and I start every hitter off with a first pitch curveball. And they're like, well, he hasn't even been throwing that yet. Now, is he coming back to it with 2 strikes? Because he started me off with it. You know, so there used to be, I think, more of a mental game going on between the pitcher and catcher versus the hitter versus the lineup that I think now is very different. In fact, I sent something to Dave. I should send it to you. It's just about if you throw the ball close to 100 or above, you should never try to hit a corner ever in your life. Whatever you throw, if you throw 100, the catcher should set up down the middle and you should throw the ball down the middle, because if you miss by 6 inches, we're still throwing a strike. And you throw so great, they're probably not going to hit you very hard anyways. We have numbers to back up. If you just throw it down the middle, you're going to be successful because of your stuff. And I get it. They used Aroldis Chapman, Paul Skeens, guys like that. Probably Jacob deGrom. I don't think they used him, but it'd maybe fit in that category. He doesn't throw too many balls just down the middle, so he might not be a great guy to run those numbers on. But I'm like, man, I get it, but I don't love it when we're not, I don't know, playing some sort of game. We're just throw it down the middle and see what happens, you know? And I get it, some guys can, and that's awesome for them because they're gifted. But I do like the mental part of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's more art to it. There used to be, it's certainly a lot more art to it than science. There's plenty, and again, like even the teams that maybe exploit the science part of it a lot, and there are plenty of them, the athletes still have to execute, or they still have to stay healthy and be on the field, that sort of thing. So I don't mean to insinuate that it's just analytics, because it's not. But even the argument right now of Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh as MVP, right? I think that's a fair argument to have. They're both exceptional. They both had amazing years. And you can make arguments however you want to make them, based on values that you value or that you value. And I think that's fun. And we've had this, Mike and I have had this conversation for a while. Every once in a while, we'll spark it up with somebody in the booth. And the other day, I just saw somebody suggesting online, like, well, no, it's cut and dry. It's not an argument. It's this because of that. I'm like, well, get the hell out of here with that. That's nonsense. But I was like, well, I mean, just look at the weighted runs created plus. They're not even close. So, ergo, that guy is the MVP. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter what position they play. It doesn't matter how many games they play. It doesn't matter anything. It's just, boom, that's the stat. That's it. Okay, well, we're done. Like, this isn't a math exercise. This is the MVP argument. In my mind, that's how I see it. Not to say that you can't apply it and have your opinion based on the math. Go ahead. But I have my opinion, and it's based on something different.
Yeah. Do you want me to give you?
Yeah. Tell us what you think.
You're supposed to still talk now.
We're still
talking Rangers.
No, I agree. I don't want to, just like you're not insinuating that the athletes don't impact it. My preference is watching athletes be athletes. We talked about this. I just don't know how to police the other element of it. And I think at the end of the day, it just kind of like it. I don't know. Maybe you grew up in an era where it was not existent almost at all, anywhere close to where it is, right? Sure. And I guess, Mike, you to some degree, we all kind of grew up different, right? Yeah. And I mean, the first era I really grew up watching the game was the steroid era, right? Mid-90s. But then after that, I think it slowly started to evolve into what it's become. And I guess maybe I just was trained to just understand this is sort of how it is. Like I hate to sound so weak and like, oh, it is what it is, and not. But I guess it's always what I've known, sort of. And I don't. Listen, we both play Stratomatic. I love it. I love that, you look at the numbers, but like, at the end of the day, like, my favorite thing is not to play a baseball game through a computer screen. It's to watch guys do these amazing things, have these amazing moments and these reactions. And I guess I still feel like we get that, but I understand what you're saying, that maybe it feels aided by less of their own intellect and prep, more of the intellect and prep of others who are not in uniform.
Yeah.
I do think the beauty is that it does keep changing. And we are in a time right now where analytics, for the most part, and I'm guessing about the year 2014-ish, it started changing the game tremendously, where you would have a lot of, let's say, veteran coaches that you have to get out of here because you won't listen to the analytic people. And I think that wasn't good. So it's like, okay, get out of here. Well, they should have listened, because there is valuable information that they were getting and they weren't listening at all to it. And then it was like analytics right around, let's say 2019-ish, they won the battle. They had won with ownership. They had won with so many people that mattered, that now they had all the power and they were telling all the coaches to shut up and never even coach. Just watch our numbers do the job, and you guys just give them thumbs up and encourage them. I remember when there was kind of an article on, guess what? You don't need to pay managers anymore. They kind of don't do anything. They just stand there and watch the game and let the computer play out the game. And now I think we're in a part where it's interesting that now we're getting the conversion of, okay, we went too extreme with just coaches at one point, and the analytics came in and showed that there are other ways. And we had to show that. But then the analytic people won and they tried to kick all of baseball people out. And now we saw that doesn't work either. There needs to be a marriage between the two where there has to be creativity, because it's humans playing. We're not playing, I would say EA Sports, but we're not playing the MLB The Show. These are going to be humans that perform differently, even though it's the same human performing every fifth day on the mound or every day in the field. They perform differently with how they're doing mentally, how they're doing physically, and stuff like that. So I still think we're in an interesting spot, and it'll always evolve, but we don't know where this is going to go, because all of a sudden, as we're sitting here, Milwaukee and Toronto could win the World Series. One of those teams could win. And they decided to go back to 15 to 20 years ago of baseball. If these two teams, let's say, meet up in the World Series, now a lot of teams are going to have to reevaluate what they're doing. And do we copy the Brewers? Do we copy the Blue Jays? Or do we still go with 3 true outcomes is the best way to go? Swing for the fences every pitch. Try to draw a walk. If they don't throw you a pitch, you can hit a home run on. And, it's just like, that's extreme, what I'm saying there. But
sure, it's
fun and interesting to see where this game is going to go and how it's possibly going to get to a place where, I don't know if everybody can enjoy it. There'll always be people enjoying and not enjoying, but where we're going to go with analytics and the marriage of people who understand the game of baseball.
Yeah, and I don't know how we ended up down the analytics spider hole, because I think I talked about intrusion of technology vis-a-vis the replay mechanisms that we've been using. And then somehow that spun, or I spun, who knows how the hell we got there. But I think there is value and interest in a lot of the analytics. I think there is that might be something they want to look at tweaking a little bit. I just think some of it is, in general, all the technology has just pushed down too far onto this. But that's true of most things in life, right? I would say most things in life, we're getting a little too much digital interference on this stuff. Yeah. Like a little more analog here and there would be good for me. A little more radio every now and then, Jared. You know what I'm saying?
Podcasts.
Still talking Rangers. If you love banana pudding, you've got to try Whataburger's Banana Pudding Shake. Back, but for a limited time only. All right, and yes, thanks, by the way, to our best friends at Whataburger all year long, still talking Rangers. They actually, realize that they're still talking Rangers.
Of course they are.
At Whataburger. So All right, you wanted to talk about
Let's
your
fight
favorite
over
races?
something else. Let's fight over something else. Real quick, like we're into the last weekend of the season. Okay. So there are a couple teams who are going to either slip in or drop out, right? The Detroit Tigers, the Cleveland Guardians, the Houston Astros. That seems to be the triumvirate of teams out of which we will get two.
Is Boston in good shape right now as we're
I
talking?
think Boston's in good enough shape that we got to feel that they're pretty secure. But I think of those three, two teams get in, one does not. What are your thoughts?
I lean towards Houston doesn't get in. Yeah. And not because I'm like, oh, Texas Rangers. I know that they just swept us, but, looking at that team, where they're at injury-wise, maybe where they're at mentally through Framber pegging his own catcher.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that
I really do think that had an impact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that team is fractured somewhat because of that, and they have been an outstanding organization for almost a decade when it comes to winning. But I'm going to lean towards Houston out of those teams because Cleveland is on such a roll. They get to face us at the end of the year, and we have so many guys out. DeGrom won't be pitching there. You just kind of look at what the Rangers have left, so they could win 2 out of 3 or all 3 against the Rangers, which I think would put them in the playoffs.
So Cleveland faces us. Detroit, who do they have? Do we know?
Yeah, Detroit. It's Detroit and Boston, I think.
Detroit and Boston, okay. And then who do the Astros end with?
The Angels in LA.
Okay, well that's.
But they're struggling with the Athletics at the moment.
Yeah.
And they have all year.
Yeah.
Like they could be in trouble before they get to the week.
I want to say the Astros, and I will say because I hate them. So that's kind of where it starts and ends for me. But no, They to me seem like the weakest of the bunch. Now the Tigers have been playing terribly.
It's saying something the way the Tigers have been going.
It's kind of it in some ways reminiscent of the 2023 Rangers. Got off to this great start, and then you're just holding on for dear life. And who knows? There are different elements. I don't think they're going to have the same fate. I don't look at the Tigers even if they get in as a World Series team. But I mean, I think the Tigers. Gosh, I mean, at some point it's got to turn, right? Unless they're just mentally broke. I'm going to say the Astros just because I do believe, and I don't know who has the tie break between the Tigers and the Astros.
I believe the Tigers.
Okay. So I'll go with the Tigers for that reason because I think that could come into play.
National League side, I'm going to say the Mets. I mean, they're throwing rookies out there.
They're the team that's
out?
Yeah,
they're going to – I think Cincinnati's going to sneak in.
I think it'd be fun.
He's been on this since April.
Yeah.
I felt
like Terry Francona, before the season started, I thought 23 – Bruce Bochy came to a team that had been losing for a while, the Rangers. And it didn't make sense that the Rangers were going to flip it in 23. It just didn't, but they did. And in fact, they lost to Grom after a month. So I thought Terry Francona is a great manager, well-respected. When he walks into that room in Cincinnati, those guys are going to go, oh my gosh, we got a Hall of Fame manager. Let's follow him.
We talked about this spring training. I think on RSN, I made 2 predictions. I said Reds in the playoffs, Marlins worst record in Major League Baseball. Now, the Marlins made some key additions to their organization after I made that comment. So, that's my out. But Marlins definitely not worst record. But I'm with you. I like the Reds. We got our old pal Jose Trevino over there. Ellie De La Cruz is fun to watch. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. I cannot believe they've done it.
Yeah.
But they have. The Marlins, by the way, aren't out of it yet.
No.
5 games to go. They're still alive. They've won 11 of 12. But anyway, they're not going to get in.
And the Mets, with all the money they spent, I don't know where's every pitcher. I don't know all of their injuries, but man, throwing 3 rookies. And not like rookies that have been pitching all year in the major leagues, like literally in the last month or so, just calling them up going, we're out of pitching. You have to throw this game.
You guys mentioned Toronto and Milwaukee. Which team is more likely to get to the World Series in their respective league? I'm going to go with Toronto.
Agreed.
I respect the heck out of what Milwaukee's doing. I think Toronto would be the team more likely to get there.
I don't know if it'll match up because I'd have to look at bracket and everything where we're at, but I think it's going to be Seattle versus Toronto in the ALCS. If it matches up right, it could be that's the divisional matchup. But
is Seattle going to make the push?
Yeah.
They're, unbeatable right now. There's no one who can touch them. They've won 15 of 16 or something. But
I mean, hey, in our sport, the playoff, the way it's formatted, it does lend to.
I will say Milwaukee is going to be interesting. The National League, very talented. I think way more talented than the American League, but nobody stands out as we thought the Dodgers were going to stand out supreme of every team in baseball this year. They haven't. Is if they make a run what could be really cool for baseball, and I know Milwaukee's a very small market, is Churio, who's 21 years old, could become kind of one of those guys that you like, hey, we might need to start throwing him into the face of Major League Baseball here in the near future. And the Miz. If he's pitching in the playoffs and is a starting pitcher, he could have, I'm going to go way back when, my organization, when I came up, Cleveland. And it was for a short time and he wasn't as talented, but it was Jarrett Wright.
Jarrett Wright, yeah.
When in 97, all of a sudden this rookie dude is just pitching against, I can't remember the run. Baltimore and New York were very good back then, but like it was just like, oh my gosh, Jarrett Wright and Bartolo Colon are about to lead the Cleveland Indians to multiple championships. It looks unstoppable. Now, obviously Jarrett stopped his career somewhat quickly. Bartolo had a great career, but man, the Miz and Churio, that could be really fun if Milwaukee makes a run.
Could be. I could see that. I don't know. I think it's a flip of the coin with all of them because you just don't know in the short series how that's going to play.
I don't like Milwaukee's front end starting pitching. The game changes in the playoffs. And it becomes,
unless Miz gets really hot.
We talked about it the other night on the broadcast. It becomes, you just need 2 starting pitchers and 2 relievers. And if those 4 guys are hot at the same time, your other 9 pitchers don't matter as much. They do matter, but not nearly as much if you get 2 starters hot and 2 relievers hot.
How about Mike contributing to the podcast today? Way to go, Mike.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mike.
My answer, cold that food.
Yeah, cold food.
Meatloaf.
Gosh, you got it.
Oh, you know. Well, this has been a fun season of Still Talking Rangers. I'm guessing we'll be back next year. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
What are you pointing to?
What do you got?
There's always next year.
There's always next year. Well, for the entire team of folks who helped make this possible, for all of our guests, including our favorite guest, Mike, for Dave, I'm Jared, just going to land the plane and say thanks for listening and watching and talk to you later.